It started with a question nobody expected. Why has Joanie Lamb, the woman who's led Daystar television network for years, remained silent amid the most serious allegations in the network's history? Viewers and critics alike have been holding their breath, waiting for her to break that silence and speak plainly about the swirling rumors. Right now, we need you to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your voice matters in this conversation. Only now, after months of quiet, she finally appeared on a podcast, yet her words did little to calm the storm. From that moment on, every word she spoke, or didn't speak, has been scrutinized as people demand clarity on issues that cut to the heart of faith and trust. Joanie's first statements were striking in what they avoided. She blamed podcasters and bloggers for spreading falsehoods, but she never said which allegations were wrong or offered evidence to back up her claim. She didn't address reports that Daystar used donor contributions to buy lavish properties or that a child in her own family was the victim of a serious crime. Instead of naming specifics and apologizing, she spoke in broad terms, insisting that the bloggers were lying without providing a single example to show where truth and fiction diverged. That approach left longtime supporters feeling dismissed and confused, as if their concerns were brushed aside rather than taken seriously. They tuned in expecting heartfelt answers. Instead, they got vague denials that only deepened the mystery. Behind closed doors, donors are questioning whether their financial gifts ever reached the people they were meant to serve. Generations of viewers donated in good faith to support global missions, feed the hungry, and share the gospel, but now some of those donors suspect their money went toward personal luxuries. Whispers of private jets, multiple mansions, and extravagant vacations have spread across social media, fueled by leaked documents and financial records. While none of these spending rumors have been legally proven, the very fact that they exist has eroded confidence. Contributors who once felt proud to help Daystar's ministries now feel betrayed, wondering if they were unwittingly subsidizing a lavish lifestyle rather than advancing a cause greater than themselves. At the same time, former Daystar employees have stepped forward with chilling accounts of threats and intimidation. Some say they were warned in private meetings never to discuss financial matters or to turn over internal documents. Others claim performance reviews doubled as warnings to stay silent about any impropriety. A handful of whistleblowers allege that staff members discovered discrepancies in expense reports and were promptly reassigned or let go. Those who tried to raise questions about improper spending or potential cover UPS found themselves shut out, with no safe channel to voice concerns. Their stories describe an atmosphere of fear rather than openness, a far cry from the transparency they believed a Christian organization should uphold. What many viewers found most painful was the contrast between these behind-the-scenes tactics and Daystar's on-air message. For years, Joanie Lamb preached about integrity, honesty, and family values. She spoke of God's healing power and the importance of truth in every aspect of life. People tuned in each week expecting to hear a message of hope and authenticity, only to suspect that their beloved leader was hiding the very truths she had promised to champion. That dissonance cut to the core. When a leader's public persona of moral clarity clashes with private practices of secrecy, followers feel not only disappointed, but also personally deceived. As documents and testimonies trickled out, a broader spiritual wound began to form. Devoted viewers reported feeling their faith shaken, unwilling to separate the actions of the network from the heart of their own beliefs. If an organization that preaches unwavering trust in God can be so easily compromised by human failings, or worse, by deliberate deception, what does that mean for the stability of faith itself? Families who once prayed together while watching Daystar now found themselves arguing about whether to turn off the TV. Young adults who looked to the network for guidance on relationships and purpose questioned whether any ministry can truly be trusted. For Joanie Lamb, the transformation was just as stark in the public eye. Once hailed as a courageous, compassionate leader, she now finds herself portrayed as defensive and evasive. Headlines shifted from celebrating her philanthropic efforts to highlighting her reluctance to answer direct questions. Social media memes juxtaposed her serene on-stage smiles with clips of her podcast stint, where her vague responses sparked frustration. In boardrooms and living rooms, the narrative flipped. She was no longer the embodiment of spiritual leadership but an embattled figure whose credibility hung by a thread. Throughout this ordeal, one principle has become painfully clear. Without genuine accountability, trust cannot survive. Daystar's leadership structure, which ties salaries and reputations to loyalty rather than transparency, has only magnified the problem. Hosts of the network's flagship discussions earn substantial incomes, creating a culture where outspoken honesty feels risky. When financial dependence silences potential critics, wrongdoing can flourish unchecked. That dynamic has left many observers demanding structural reform just as urgently as they demand personal accountability from Joanie Lamb herself. But it's not too late for change. Many still hope that Joanie will return to the public stage with renewed humility. They long for the moment she names each allegation, offers clear evidence refuting false claims, and, where necessary, expresses heartfelt remorse. They want to hear her commit, in concrete terms, to steps that will restore financial integrity and ensure the safety and dignity of every child in her care. They believe that if she can humble herself, apologize, and institute transparent policies, the network might begin to reclaim its moral authority. And yet, time is not on her side. Every day without a definitive response allows doubt to spread further. Every vague statement chips away at the foundation of trust that once held Daystar's community together. The moment of decision has arrived. Will Joanie Lamb choose to embrace openness, or will she continue down a path of deflection and delay? The answer will shape not only her legacy but the faith of countless individuals who seek truth and integrity in the institutions they support. As the network's crisis deepens, the broader Christian community watches closely. Other ministries take note of how Daystar handles, or mishandles, this scandal, knowing their own reputations could hinge on similar challenges. If Daystar emerges with renewed transparency and restored trust, it could serve as a powerful example of grace in action. If it remains mired in secrecy, it risks reinforcing a cynical belief that large religious organizations are inherently corruptible. In the coming weeks, expect more revelations, more documents, more testimonies, and perhaps even legal proceedings. But beyond the headlines and the lawsuits lies a deeper story about the human need for honesty, compassion, and redemption. It's a story that transcends any one network or individual leader. At its heart, it asks all of us to consider what we demand from those who speak for God, how we guard our own faith against disappointment, and how we extend grace when that faith is betrayed. The ultimate test for Joanie Lamb, and for every viewer who has ever trusted her, will be whether the network can transform this crisis into an opportunity for genuine renewal. That requires naming wrongs, accepting consequences, and committing to a future defined not by luxury or power but by service, accountability, and truth. Only then can a battered community begin the slow work of healing and rebuild the bridges of trust that once spanned the distance between leader and follower. As you reflect on this story, consider what accountability means in your own life. Where do you demand transparency from the people you trust, and where might you extend grace when they falter? The path forward is not easily traveled, but it is the one that leads to lasting integrity. And for Joanie Lamb and Daystar TV, that path remains open, if only they have the courage to walk it. Thank you for staying with us. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel to keep this vital conversation alive. Your engagement reminds us all that faith thrives not in silence, but in the light of